There's 6 types of objections that are most commonly found in the sales space, right? 6 common ones. What do you think they are, Nalima?
Money,
Yep.
avoidance,
Yep.
avoidance, partner, like think
Partner.
about it type of thing.
Yes. Need to think. Well, that's avoidance.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that is. Uh, I've got the other three.
Got time. You've
Oh,
got fit.
yes.
Then I'll move this. And we've got the other people's product, right? The
Mm.
comparison.
Yep.
So let's talk about the first one, money, right? I can't afford it. It's too expensive.
Hmm.
So first thing you want to do is you want to understand what they mean by that, right? Because too expensive could mean a lot of things. You're too expensive compared to another competitor. You're too expensive for their budget, or they just want to throw that word out to get a discount. So the
Okay.
first thing that you do, right, is think of like their objection as like smoke screens, or think of it as just like a little fire that they've just lit up. You don't combat fire with fire by saying, no, it's not. This
Mm.
is why it's not expensive. First thing you always say is, totally understand, totally
Mm.
reason, right? Because it just lets their guard down. You're like, okay, so she's on my side.
Mm.
So you say, oh, Mrs. Smith, that's totally understandable. Like, yeah, I get that. That's totally reasonable. But can I ask, how do you mean by too expensive? So they can either go through the first path, which is, oh, it's just that I've got a competitor who's doing the same thing, but cheaper, right? So how you would overcome that is kind of similar to what you used earlier, is that you say, okay, cool, fair enough. So price aside, Mrs. Smith, do you think that this would work for you?
Mhm.
And they'd be like, oh yeah, I think it would work. Yeah, but why? Why do you think it would work for you? Like, what specifically in our program do you like so much that you think it would work for you?
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind at this stage, you will have done enough discovery and enough fact finding and enough pain finding that you can refer back to it, right? And I'm just going to assume I've done that with Mrs. Smith. So
Hmm.
they would say like, oh, well, you say that. Let's just go with the editor actually, since we're talking about that. Oh, well, with the editing, I like that you're really flexible. I like your editing style. I like that we can review it. We can review it unlimited amount of times, and I like how quick you are with your delivery, right? And you're like, okay, cool. What would that mean for your business? Like all the benefits that our program can give you, like our editing style could give you. She's like, oh, well, it would just save me a lot of time, and I just feel like down the line, I'd just make a lot more money.
Mm.
So you say to them, okay, cool. So what are you? I'm just a little confused, Mrs. Smith. What are you looking for then? Are you looking for just like the cheapest editor that you can find? Are you actually looking to find the right editor that can provide the reviews, the unlimited, and this and that, and the quick delivery? So what you're doing, right, is visually, right? You're doing this as well. You're now creating a visual gap from the price-based thinking to the value-based thinking. So you always
Mm.
want to get them into a value or results-based thinking by saying, do you want a cheap price, right? Do you want just something crappy, or do you want the results? And the reason we do it this way and not do you want the results or the cheapest is because now this is the conversation. This is the last thing I'm talking about. So it's
Yeah.
always, are you looking for the cheapest editor? Are you looking to get the right editor that can actually deliver the results so that down the line you're making more money as a boss?
Mm.
So all of a sudden, that's no longer a real objection, right? Because they've already told you that you're the perfect candidate, right?
Yeah.
And if they tell you that, oh, it doesn't work, then this is a completely different conversation. It's go back to discovery finding, or back to like the pain, or back to like the service, what it is, right? The pitch.
Mm.
But the other one that you could say is that it's just too expensive for my budget. Like I just can't afford it, right? I just don't have the money right now. And do you know what's hilarious, Nilima, right? It's not a real objection.
Mm.
Even if you tell me, Nilima, that you don't have the money, right? It's still not a real objection. And I'll tell you why. So you would say it this way. You would tell it this way. Completely understand, Mrs. Smith. Right? Remember, water first. Completely understand. That's totally reasonable. Can I
Yeah.
can I tell you a quick story? Do you mind if I share with you a quick story? Yeah, sure. Have you ever heard of Shoe Dog? Nike story. Have you ever heard of Shoe Dog, Nilima? You're going to be using this story a lot. So, Shoe
Okay.
Dog, Shoe Dog, the founder of Nike, at the pinnacle of his career,
Hmm.
he couldn't make payroll, right? And it was the difference between making payroll or his company goes 6 feet under.
Okay.
So he didn't have the money. Like he was completely exhausted of resources. So
Mhm.
this is what Shoe Dog did. He went to his suppliers for like the shoes and the clothing and everything. He went to suppliers and said, listen, I need you to pay this month's payroll for me, or else the company's going to go 6 feet under and we're not going to work together ever again.
Okay.
So the question isn't, do you have, the question isn't a lack of resources. The question is, how resourceful are you? Because
Yeah.
the difference between you and Shoe Dog, who's a self-made millionaire, is nothing.
Mm.
Both of you started from zero, started from scratch, but he's resourceful. He knows where to find money.
Mm.
And then you frame it this way, look, I'm good either way, right? Don't do it for me, Mrs. Smith. Do it for yourself. You've told me that you need A, B, and C. What other forms of investment can you do then in order for you to find the results for A, B, and C? So now it's no longer what's the price or can they afford it? It's like, how can you find the methods of funding to get you those results?
Yeah.
Remember, we're always getting them into the results-based thinking. And the reason
Mhm.
we tell the story first is that we're not just jabbing them, right? We're not
Mm.
just saying, where can you find other methods of funding? We're
Yeah.
telling them a story that they can relate to first. And
Mhm.
it's so powerful. It's so powerful when they can find a story that they can really, really connect with. They might even know the story.
Mhm.
And you're just like clicking it back in their head.
Yeah.
Now, if Shoe Dog, who's a self-made millionaire, can ask his suppliers, it's literally like saying to your assistant or to your editor, I need you to make payroll for me or else we're not going to work together anymore. It's
Mm.
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But do you know how much the company is worth now? Multi-billions.
Mm.
And there's no difference between you and Shoe Dog. It's just
Yeah.
his resourcefulness.
Mhm.
So that would be the second one. And I think it's really, really important that you talk about, look, I'm good either way, right? Put them first, results first. Look, I'm good either way. I can work with I've heard stories similar to yourselves, and I've got multiple clients today. If you don't take it, fair enough. I'm good either way. And
Mm.
there's a lot of power to that, Neil. There's a lot of power to being like, I don't need your service. I don't need
Yeah.
your but if you have and you say this right, I'm good either way, Mrs. Smith. But the way I see it, if I have the skills, the knowledge, and the bridge from to get you from point A to point B, then it is my moral obligation to get you to point B.
Yeah.
I know exactly how to get you there. If my daughter asks me how to do this maths equation and I know how to do it, it's my moral obligation to teach her.
Yeah.
Look, do you need help signing up for a credit card? Do you need help signing up for an Amex? I can help you through it. Seriously. Notice how I'm using like a concerned tone.
Yeah.
Right? You want to use like the tone that you would have as like a trusted friend or advisor that just is like, oh, I'm really sorry you had to go through that. Why don't we try this?
Mhm.
And it's not like, look, there's no such thing as not enough money, right? You just need to be resourceful. That would be cutthroat sales.
Yeah.
That's the sleazy salesman, and everyone hates them.
Mhm.
Like you want to have like the heart of a lion, right? That would absolutely kill all these objections, but you want to deliver it like a lamb. But like
Mhm.
I'm with you. Like I'm with you in this journey, right? I'm no better than you, but I know how to get you there. But I'm good either way.
Yeah.
So if you can really like put yourself in that frame, look, I'm good either way.
Mhm.
It's it's not for me, it's for you. So yeah, that's the money one. And that should take you that should cover a lot of money objections. And see if you just learn that one story, that'll take you a lot of places because money is the number one objection in sales.
Mhm.
It's the that one, and I need to think about it. But any questions? That makes sense. Any final thoughts, queries?
No, there's a lot of things that you said that I want to steal. So if this is recorded and I can see it another time, then there's going to be a lot that I'm going to magpie off you if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's perfect. So the next one is time. Oh, I just don't have the time.
Mhm.
Now, say hypothetically we're doing because editor wouldn't make sense because the editor is buying them time, right?
Mm.
But say it is like say it's sales training, actually.
Mhm.
Say it's a prospect, they want to get better at sales. I mean, I'd love to do it, but I don't have time, right? So the first thing you would do, totally understand, right? That's so reasonable. I get that, man. That's valid. Fair enough.
Mm.
But do you know what's really funny, right? And you frame it this way. But do you know what's really funny, Mrs. Smith? You remind me of myself, or you could say your friend, right? But you could let's say myself as an example. You remind me of myself, and it's a really, really funny story with my partner. Do you mind if I share that story with you? Yeah, yeah, sure. So I remember I used to come home. This was about a year ago. I remember I used to come home every night, and I would be lying on the couch, and I would just complain to my partner. I just about how I didn't have enough time to go out and work out anymore.
Hmm.
Like I really wanted to work out, get that six pack, but I just didn't have the time. And I said that so often and so frequently with my partner that she got so fed up. She grabbed my phone as I was lying on the couch, went on my screen time, and said, "Look, there's your time." So the reality is, Mrs. Smith, is that there's no such thing as like not having enough time. The reality is, what do you prioritize more? Because at the moment, at that time, in hindsight, I was prioritizing 2 hours on Netflix, an hour
Yeah.
on YouTube, an hour on Instagram, and I do have the time. But now that I'm stepping into that new identity that prioritizes the gym more, then I have the time. So
Yeah.
you can go into that, right? And you can also tell another story. So that first one should a lot of the time should be enough to get them thinking like, oh, well, maybe I do have the time. Or you could even do this, right? Let's do an exercise, Mrs. Smith. Grab your phone for me, go on your screen time, and then show me.
Mm.
Just by getting them to like physically take an action, it becomes
Yeah.
real. Like it's
Mm.
real. It's in the room with them. Scroll right, and you'll see like 3 hours on YouTube, 2 hours on whatever, and you can easily just be like, "There's your time."
But wait, wouldn't that one be like a bit of a hit and miss? Because what if they don't actually have screen time?
What it comes down to priorities is that look, if you really wanted to generate more, like if it's a salesman,
Hmm.
right? Let's really think about this, right? If say they work 9 to 5, right? There's 5 to 9 in the morning and there's 5 to 9 at night.
Hmm.
It's up to them how they fill up that time. And believe me when I tell you this, if people cared enough, if they prioritize it enough, they will find the time.
Yeah.
They absolutely will find the time.
Hmm.
I've cancelled meetings before to go out with friends because I prioritize them more.
Hmm.
But I can easily say to them, don't have the time, sorry, I can't go out. But it's a
Yeah.
friend that I haven't seen in months, like half a
Mm.
year now. So I cancelled that meeting and I was like, let me reschedule you. I'm going to see my friend.
Mm.
So it comes into priority. What do they prioritize more? Because 5 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 9 p.m., say they're sleeping between 5 to 9, then it comes into the identity. They're not
Mm.
in that identity and they need to step into those shoes of Nilima 2.0 or Mrs. Smith 2.0.
Yeah.
So you could also, if that still doesn't make them budge, you tell them the Sephora story, right? So you say to them again, it's another story. Do you know what's really funny? That reminds me of a story of me and my missus, me and my partner. So we went into Sephora, right? When like where you go like get makeup. You'll explain this better than me, but like where you get like makeup and blush and foundation and girly stuff. And I
Mm.
remember I was just sitting down while she was away browsing, and I seen these two little girls about this height, 10, 11, whatever that height is.
Hmm.
And they were looking around, and then this lady from Sephora came up to them and she was like, right, girl, so this right here is lipstick. This right here is foundation. This right here is for your eyelashes, right? That kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And the girls got really, really excited. So they grabbed it and they're like, oh my God, I can't wait to be using this every day now or for every day of my life. I mean, I
Yeah.
love this. I love looking prettier. The lady said, girls, just remember, you're ladies now. You're stepping into an identity. So every month you have to budget for these. Right? You need to make sure you have enough money to buy these every month because they will run out. So these girls are now stepping into that new identity. They've
Mm.
become women now. So they've got new priorities, meaning that now they have to budget for those and make sure that they've always got money to buy that.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is I can draw the line on the sand right here, Mrs. Smith, and it's up to you to take the step whether you want to actually jump into that new identity or keep living the same life that you've been doing the last 3 months or 3 years. It's up to you.
Mm.
So if they say that, you know what, Juan, I'm ready to step into a new identity, you'd be like, brilliant. So look, it's time to start looking at new priorities. It's time to step into new priorities. Whether it's their sleeping schedule, if they need to wake up earlier, or they need to prioritize their afternoon, then that conversation is no longer objection handling. It's how can they prioritize this,
Mm.
right? Because you'd find out their schedule. Oh yeah, between 6 to 8 p.m. I go play golf. It's a priorities thing.
Yeah.
So that's no longer an objection thing. It's just a priority. So that would be the partner one. Make sense?
Yep.
Makes sense
Makes
so
sense.
far? You're gonna steal that
Mhm.
one as well?
Yep.
Good, good. Right, so the next one is decision. Like it's someone else's decision. I need to speak to my partner, right? Can't make the decision right now. What's the
Mm.
first thing we say, Nalima?
Do you think it will work? Like what we're doing would work?
Totally understand.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Sorry. Oh gosh.
Totally
Totally
understand.
understand. Yeah.
No, that's completely fair enough. That's very reasonable. I get
Yeah.
that. Sure,
Oh,
fair
so
enough.
sorry. Yeah.
Right? Always diffuse it first because you're already objection handling,
Yeah.
right? And they're gonna get defensive. Do you think it would work? Oh, maybe.
No, but did you see? Did you see what just happened? You just quickly put me on the spot. So I said the first thing that came into my mind.
Yeah.
I know it's you're meant to say that. You've repeated it probably 3 times
It
already.
sounds so like minuscule,
Hmm.
but it'll go a long way. Trust me.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
always have that in the back of your head. I agree first. Oh yeah, I get that. No, you know what?
Yeah.
I get that.
Hmm.
So it comes down to the partner now, right? So this is good. What do you think they would like? I need to speak to my partner. Can't make the decision. Oh, no worries. What do you think they would like? So this can go one or two ways. They'll either say, oh, they probably wouldn't like the A, B, and C. So this is just to do with the product you're selling or the way your timings work or whatever. So you can just improve that, right? That's not an objection. It's just like oh, I don't like your editing style, or she wouldn't like the editing style. Then it's just the edit
Hmm.
you need to cover. Or but if he says that, oh, it's I don't think she'd dislike anything. I mean, I think she'd be happy with it. So the conversation becomes, oh, so by the sounds of it, um, it's this one here. It's support, not permission, right? So
Yeah.
by the sounds of it, it sounds like you just need support, not permission. And they were like, oh, what do you mean? So it's really funny, right? It just reminds me of this person, right? So using that framework as well. And the reason we do this is because we're creating a character adjacent to them that's really,
Hmm.
really similar with them, same objection, but they ended up doing it.
Yeah.
But the beauty about this adjacent character is that you can attack this character and go all out and berate it and throw all the
Yeah.
insults, but they won't take any offense.
Yeah.
They'll just relate to it. If you give it all direct to them, then again, it becomes personal.
Yeah.
Guard comes back up. So it's a lot easier to use an adjacent character just like them, exactly just like them. So you say to them, like, oh my God, that's really interesting. That reminds me of Sandra, who is an old client of mine. Exact same situation. And she was saying that like, oh, I need to speak to my partner first before I make the decision. And ultimately, it just came down to I asked her like, oh, what if they actually disagree? She was like, oh well, I probably wouldn't do it if they disagrees. So if they wouldn't do it, Sandra, then would you not end up resenting your partner because you know this works for you? So at this stage, you already know that it works for them, right? So you say
Hmm.
to them, well, do you really want to have that resentful partnership, resentful marriage, and telling them that, look, you could have done it?
Mm.
Because sometimes it's actually easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Because ultimately speaking, if they support you, then they're probably going to support that decision ultimately. Like, yeah, you didn't ask for that permission right now, but in the long run, they're going to support you if they already like what you're doing and they've already been complaining about it. Because realistically, Sandra, would your husband be opposed to you making more money? So why would they be opposed to you doing it? They wouldn't. But if I asked Sandra, oh, what if they disagree? Oh, I do it anyway. Then you close it right there. Boom.
Yeah.
They're the decision maker. Okay, well, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So
Hmm.
they're the decision maker. But if they say that like, oh, I just wouldn't do it, then it comes down to support, not permission, which would just be there you go. I'll bring this out, which would be result into resentful marriage or partnership because it could be a business owner as well, right?
Hmm.
But you also ask them the question, do they know you're suffering this pain? Yeah. how long do they know you've been suffering this pain?
Mhm.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now. Say it's a weight loss program, right? And it's the lady,
Mhm.
and she
Mhm.
needs to ask her husband for permission. If she doesn't do it, what do you think she's actually thinking? Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't let me do it.
Mhm.
I believe he won't let me go through this fitness program. And we've been really talking about this, how I'm starting to lose my fitness. I mean, I just can't believe he didn't let me do it. That's what she's really saying. But obviously, she's not gonna tell you that. And then you can also like tell it in a funny way, right? In a sense that like, listen, Sandra, sign up, right? Take 3 days, money back guarantee or whatever, because products will have like a money back guarantee as well. Money back
Mhm.
guarantee. If your husband says to you, Sandra, you know what? I don't like you being fitter now. I want you to sit on that chair, grab that bag of Cheetos, stuff your face. I want you to be unhealthy and generate um, unhealth for the generations to come. I want our children to die early. I want you to die early. They'd probably laugh at that point, right? Because
Mhm.
it's almost like it's just creating that vision for them. And they're like, oh my God, I mean, he'd support it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not permission they're looking for. It's just support.
Mhm.
So it comes down to that. And if they end up not doing it, then they'll just end up having a resentful marriage slash partnership.
So, when you use the word resentful, wouldn't that kind of offend them in a sense? Because if someone told me I resent my partner, I'm like, no, I wouldn't. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, yes, I get that. If you wanted this, Nilima, say I say to you, I can get you a, what's your dream car?
Don't really have one.
What's your dream item? Something.
I
Dream.
don't really.
What's like your
Okay,
what's like something
okay,
you really, really want?
okay.
That-
Let's go with the vehicle then. A car, Mercedes Pullman.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
If I say to you, Nalima, right? I've got a Mercedes for you exactly how you want it. The seats and red leather seats or whatever. You've got all the system, the infotainment and everything, and it's in your budget, but your husband won't let you get it. How would you feel? It's your dream car, and you've been
Mhm.
dreaming this for however long you've been dreaming about it. How would you feel if your husband said no?
Yeah, I would get slightly annoyed. Yeah.
Right? And every time you see that car, you'd be like, remember that car? That's when it becomes a resentful marriage. But you don't say it in a sense that like you're gonna resent him, by the way. You
Mm.
say it in a sense that like I just it would just become a resentful marriage. Every time you see that car, you're gonna think
Mm.
of him.
Okay. Yeah.
You're gonna think of how he didn't let you. You're gonna think of
Mm.
how he controlled that decision for you. And sometimes asking for forgiveness is easier than asking for permission,
Fair enough. Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
it needs to make sense in their context because believe me when I tell you this, people will resent their partner for stuff that are smaller.
Mm.
He didn't let me get that box of sushi. I hate this man. He told me I'm eating too much. He didn't let me buy that pack of Doritos, that box of Pringles.
Mm.
Believe me when I tell you this, like there's literally resentful marriages and partnerships over the smallest things. If it's your dream car, I bet you every penny, every time you see that, you're going to think of him in a resentful way.
Yeah.
And you probably don't want that, right?
Mhm. Fair enough. Makes sense.
There you go. Does
Cool.
that does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. Um, right. Golden nuggets here. You digging this?
Yep.
Good,
I am.
good. Right. On to the next one. Fit. So this one's really simple, right?
Hmm.
Let's go with the fitness one again, right? Oh, I love the program plan. I love the fitness. I love the exercises. But it's just for breakfast, could we try this? If you've broken the ice enough, right, you'd be like, Mrs. Smith, your breakfast is making you look like you. So it just comes down to the new identity story. You just tell the Sephora story again. Do you know what's
Yeah.
really funny? It reminds me of this story. And it's
Hmm.
just it comes down to the identity that we're stepping onto. I can draw the line
Hmm.
on the sand. You can either step into the new identity and get to Nilima 2.0, or you can keep living the same life you've been living for the past 3 years. Where do you want to go from here? Yeah, I think I'm ready for change. Got to change to change, man. Need to change.
Yeah.
So fit is really just oh no, I'm spoiling it. It's a preference. So basically they like it, but they want to do it their way. It's just
Yeah.
a preference, and it's not, again, it's not a real objection. Um, others people product, other people's products. So yeah, yeah, Juan, I really like your sales training, but I've just been burnt before. Like I've been scammed before. Paid into this mentorship, and I didn't feel like I got what I wanted. What's the first thing you say, Nilima?
It's okay. I understand. I get
Totally
you.
understand. I get that. Totally understand. Do you know what's really funny?
Another story?
It just reminds me of another story. Do you mind if I quickly share that with you? Now, hypothetically, if they're giving you all these objections, right? This
Mm,
person is absolutely crazy in the
mm,
sense that like they have so many objections, and it's just I think it's a core thing. If they're giving you all these objections, and
yeah.
it rarely happens by the way, it's usually just one, maybe two objections. If they're giving you four, going into the fifth one now, I
Yeah.
wouldn't even talk about this. I would just go straight into you. But say
Yeah.
hypothetically, this is the real objection. They've been scammed before and they just don't trust it anymore. Or actually, let's do an easier one. Let's do a roof company, which is what I used to do, right? I've had a roof company before, but the work wasn't good. I just didn't like it. And
Mhm.
I just don't trust any roofer ever again. You'd be like, totally understand. But it's really interesting, Mrs. Smith. That reminds me of one of my friends who experienced the exact same thing as you. Like they got the roof as well, or something adjacent, or they got like windows and doors as well, and they just weren't happy with the experience, and they just lost all the trust. And this is what I said to them, right? I said, "Oh, let's do this with you, Mrs. Smith. Let's do this exercise with you. Have you ever had a high school crush that didn't result in marriage?" They'd be like, yeah, everyone has that, right? And see that not resulting in marriage, Mrs. Smith. Did you say all men can go to hell? I'm never trying again. Or did you give it another chance? I can see Mr. Smith in the back. You probably gave it another chance, didn't you? And the reality is there's there's bad boyfriends out there, and there's good boyfriends. There's bad companies and there's also good companies. But don't
Mhm.
let it burn you twice. And what I mean by that is that don't let a bad decision burn you in the past and also burn you in the future by preventing you from making a good decision. Just because it was a bad company doesn't mean every company is bad out there. So don't let it burn you twice. So that would be overcoming, oh, I've been scammed before. Oh, I
Yeah.
just didn't like this other company before. You just tell them, don't get burnt twice. You've had a bad company before, but don't let that bad company stop you from finding that good company.
Yeah.
Don't let that bad boyfriend stop you from finding that good boyfriend. All right? Does that make
Or I
sense?
failed before. Yeah.
Yeah. Would that make sense? Like, would you be able to incorporate that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is no a no-brainer one. And it's a fun one
Mm.
as well, because like it like oh if you it makes them think about like their past boyfriend, their past crush, and it makes it a fun conversation.
I was
But
just when I Bill also told me that, right? And I was slightly skeptical with that one because I was thinking if someone asked me that, I would be like, no, didn't have any because
did
I'm
they also use that?
yeah, he said things with partners like, oh yeah, would you let your past, partner affect your
Oh,
future and stuff like that.
there you go.
So I was slightly skeptical. I was like, okay, but if someone asked me that, I'd be like, I didn't have a past one. So what were you gonna say to that? But then I realized I think it's in the culture, like there's always someone that like a lot of people it's rare to find someone like me basically.
So you're telling me, Nilima, you've never had a crush before?
Never.
A crush?
Yeah, never.
You've never fancied
Genuinely.
anyone?
Never.
Not even in high school?
No.
Yeah, you're crazy. There's there's
I've
there's
I was more of a like I'm gonna focus on my studies. Gonna separate myself, like isolate myself. I isolate myself a lot. There's always those people that come regardless whether you're isolating or not,
yeah,
and those are my friends. Besides that, never ever. I've been to college, everything, and even right now, I'm not
yeah.
interested. I'm more interested in making money. So it's just
Wow. You're a
yeah.
hustler. You're a hustler at heart. All right. To hell all men. Just straight to the money. Bring me the money, right? So
No,
you would
that'll,
just
that'll come after. So yeah, I just have priorities.
fair no, that's your priorities, right?
Hmm.
So you would just use the adjacent character and just the thing is people will relate to that.
Yeah,
Right? I mean you can probably relate to it even though you haven't had that. Like you can still relate to it, right?
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, like you would say, oh, that reminds me of a someone who just like yourself, and they experienced this, and they used to have a crush in high school. It didn't work out, but that didn't stop them from
Mm.
finding the right person. Why should
Yeah.
it stop you?
Mm.
So if they genuinely don't, right, if it happens to be they've never had a crush before, they've never had a high school sweetheart before, then
Mm.
fair enough. But you just tell them the story that, oh, adjacent friend, exact
Yeah.
same thing. So yeah, that's the other people's product. And now it comes down. So I just think of this as like an onion, right? Each layer you peel, you get closer to the core being the truth of
Yeah.
what the real objection is. So it goes from money, time, decision, fit to avoidance in terms of like the depth of it. So money would be like the surface level. Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, I can't afford
Mhm.
it. 2 sec. I just need to grab my charger. I'm on 5%.
Oh, no worries.
Oh. Right. Oh, cool. So now that we've peeled all the layers, right? They can't say it's too expensive anymore. They can't say they don't have time. They can't say that it's their partner's decision. They can't say that it's not a right fit, and they can't say that they've been scammed before. They can't use that anymore. So what do we say? What are they gonna say? Oh, Nilima, just give me time.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I get it. I just can't make a decision right now. So that's
Mm.
just like it's really just decision paralysis at
Yeah.
this point. I get it. I love it. I understand everything, but I just give me time, give me space.
Mm.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Completely. That's completely reasonable. And then you say you would frame it this way. You say, "Have I got your permission to be honest with you, Mrs. Smith?" And you say it that way so that you kind of like you want to give them like the control of the conversation. They're
Mhm.
gonna say yes anyway, but like instead of saying, "Can I be honest with you?" It's, "Have I got your permission to be honest with you, Mrs. Smith?" Because if at this point you've done 5 objection handlings, right, you can be a lot more brutal now,
Yeah.
right? Because they're already open, they're warm, they're getting emotional, they know that it needs to happen, but they just
Mm.
have that paralysis right now. So you say, "Mrs. Smith, have I got your permission to be brutally honest with you?" Yes, Juan, go ahead. You're gonna pay for this anyway. Say it's the editing, right? You're gonna
Mm.
pay for this anyway. You're either gonna pay with it. You're gonna pay for this anyway. But the question is, are you gonna pay for it with money? Are you gonna pay for it with time?
Mm.
Because you're gonna learn editing anyway. You're gonna find an editor at some point that works for you. But you've been struggling the past 3 years. How does another 3 years look like? Do you want to keep paying with time? So that would be they're gonna make a decision anyway. You're gonna pay for this anyway. Do you want to pay with time or do you want to pay with money? Because these these people, these testimonials before, these are the 100 lifetimes. These are the 100 people that we've helped, and I've now learned this. Do you have 100 lifetimes to go over all their mistakes at once? No, which is why we've compiled all their mistakes so that you can learn it. So people will never say, "Oh, I want to pay with time,"
Yeah.
because they wouldn't want to be in this call in the first place. They wouldn't be in this call if they wanted to keep paying with time. They would just go
Mhm.
and learn it themselves. But now
Yeah.
that they're here, they obviously want to make a change. So you give them a question that hits a dagger, right?
Mm.
Do you want to keep paying with time? You've been doing it for the past 3 years. How's that worked out for you? Not good. How does another 3 years look like? And it's that results based thinking again. I was like, what's the actual cost? What's the actual consequence of them continually living that life, paying for time compared to just them getting it over and done with? So that's one thing, right? And this is now
Mhm.
the give me time. Oh my God, like this is so much, give me time. Fair enough. You're gonna pay for this anyway. But this is after saying, "Oh, can I be honest with you?" Or have I got your permission to be honest with you? Still doesn't budge them, right? Move on to the next one. Do you know what, Mrs. Smith, do you know what decision actually means? Like the word decision? They're like, no, I think so, yeah. What do you mean? Well, the word decision is actually Latin for decadere, which is cutting off. Decadere is to cut off. So where we are right now, Mrs. Smith, right? We're standing in a dilemma right now. And the question is, which side of you do you want to cut off? Do you want to cut off the past, like all the mistakes, all the time where you didn't have time to see your kids, you didn't have time to see your wife, or the past where you didn't have enough money for A, B, and C, or do you want to cut off your future, the future of Mrs. Smith 2.0, the one that's sharp with their focus, the one that knows how to do A, B, and C, which do you want to cut off? Because believe it or not, indecision is also a decision. You're not making a decision right now. It's also a decision. You're not making a decision is you killing your future, is you cutting off your future. So it's just, we don't need to be, I think that covers the next one. Yeah. So you would say like indecision is also a decision, and not making a decision is cutting off the future.
Mhm.
So that would be another dagger, right? And say hypothetically it still doesn't get to them. I need to think about it. Still need to think about it. Fair enough. Can I ask you, Mrs. Smith, do you think that this would get you closer to your goals? Yeah, yeah. I believe that. Why is that? Why do you think it would get you closer to your goals? Oh, I mean, I know that you're not perfect. I know it's not the perfect editing, but like, I just know that if I do this enough, then I'll get the results I want. I'll start making 100K in revenue or whatever. So they think that it would get them closer to your goals. And I would say to them, Mrs. Smith, listen, the reality of goal setting is we don't need to be a straight arrow getting to that goal. If we're just directionally right, if we just take a step in the right direction every time, then eventually we're going to get to that goal.
Mm.
But if we keep taking a step away from the goal, then we're never going to get there. If you know that this is going to get you closer to your goal, then you're taking the right step. It might not be the last ever editor that you need. This might not be the last ever sales training that you need, but you know it's the right direction. We might not work forever, but you know you're getting closer to your goals. So we don't need to be straight arrows. We just need to be directionally right. So that's the other one. So see at this point, right?
Mhm.
99% should be like, fair enough, let's get started. So after you deliver that, right? You no longer ask for the business, you assume it. You just need to be directionally right.
Mhm.
I've sent you an invoice in your email. Let me know what you see once you've filled it out. So it's not, can you see the invoice? Can you fill it out? It's, I've seen an invoice. Let me know what you see once you've filled it out. And it's, because really, I'm just saying, like, after you've paid, what does it say? Just so I know that you've paid. Oh,
Yeah.
it says payment sent through with a big green tick. Closed.
Oh, okay. That part alone, I learned a lot from that. Like, when you're talking about you're going to pay for this anyways, I was thinking of something that you said, something that Bill also said, is highlighting the fact that time is limited. You can't get more time, whereas
Oh, yeah.
money you can.
People
You know,
value time so much. Yeah.
yeah. Like let's say this didn't work out, you can somehow get the money back. But what if it did work and you didn't take the time to actually, blah blah, you can't get that time back. So yeah, I'm just taking all these mental notes. I'm definitely gonna have to look through this again. There's so many things I can steal. So thank you so much. So yeah.
You'll see it in the YouTube as well anyway, but like, yeah, I mean, just by learning like these stories like Shoe Dog, the Sephora story, the resentful marriage story, the don't get burnt twice story, the story system is so powerful because
Mhm.
it's relatable. People relate because it moves them emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? And the beauty about the way we do these, right, is that we're not doing like emotional closes because once the excitement wears off, logic comes in. Why
Hmm.
did I do that? Why did I just buy that program? And if the logic can't back it, it becomes a cancellation. It becomes a churn. So if you're telling them about they're gonna pay for this anyway, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not excited. I'm not excited anymore, but I really don't want to pay another 3 years of this. That's logical.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do this again for another 3 years. That's
Mm.
a completely logical decision. And decision is also a decision. Yeah. If I didn't do that, say they're speaking to the partner, right? If I didn't do that, I would continue on this path, Mr. Smith. I would, I would be cutting off the future that I want. I would be cutting off the future for us. So that would be another one. And then, do you think this would get you closer to your goal? Look, Mr. Smith, this is Mrs. Smith talking to Mr. Smith, right? Look, Mr. Smith, this might not be the perfect program. There's a lot of things I love about it, but it doesn't need to be perfect because I know it's getting me closer to my goals.
Mm.
That's a logical decision right there. It's not like I love Nalima. I just I just feel like she cares so much about me, which is why I've done it. No, it's Nalima is the right direction. I'm heading towards the right direction, which is why I've done it. So all of these are purely logical. Like it's emotional based questioning, but it's backed by logic. Because once excitement wears off, logic always comes in and it always triumphs. So you have to back the logic.
So what if the person is not very emotional? What if they're a hard-headed person? Do you just think, okay, yeah, you're not ready for this, or do you still try and, you know, get them in?
Well, these are just questions to open them up. Now this is the objections, right? We're at the very, very end of the call. At the start of the call, you should have already broken the ice, right? So
Mm.
you learn this in like discovery and fact finding. And if they've told you about their pain, if they're telling you about their pains, no one ever has a stone cold face talking about how they've wasted the last 3 years of their life not improving in the skill they want to improve or having a resentful marriage. No one ever has a stone cold face. And even
No, I
if
mean
they do,
like even during the call, like let's say the beginning, and they're like, oh yeah, I just wanna, blah blah blah, say all this stuff, and then when at the end they're like, oh yeah, I just need to think about it. What do you need to think about? I just need to go through it. That's just the way my brain works. Like now I need to think about like with a literally cold face because that's how they were throughout the entire call.
sure, sure. So what you say to them is if they actually are, they're getting away and you can't close them, you just say, fair enough. That's completely fair enough. I don't want to keep like jabbing away at you. That's fair enough. How long do you think you would need, Mrs. Smith? Honestly, Juan, I think I just need overnight. I think I just need like or overnight or 2 days. Let's double it. Let's do a week. How does that sound? You have a week to think about it. Do you think that would give you more clarity, like less pressure to like jump into it? They'd be like, oh, yes, oh my God, yes, give me a week. In the meantime, I guess, Mrs. Smith, just so I know I'm ready, obviously, I want to pencil you in for this appointment next week, but just so I know, because I want to be ready for this call, right? What questions do you think it will arise, or like what would you say your biggest concern is that we're going to talk about on the next call, just so I know what to prepare for that call. So you're just coming back into conversation because I need to think about it as not a real objection.
Yeah,
There
cool.
has to be something. If they're just saying I need to think about it, I need to think about it, I need to think about it, then you need to uncover that because
Mm.
there's something there. That think about it. You, there's another one you could say as well, right? I'll add to this one. Is what would that look like? So the other one that I just used there is basically just making them think that they're off the hook so they allow you to come back for the conversation because they're going to tell you, yeah, I think for Friday, I just need to cover the budget. Then it's a money objection.
Mm.
Yeah, I think for Friday, I just need to talk to my partner about it. Then you cover the partner objection. Yeah, I think I just need to think whether this actually fits me or not. Then it's a preference. It's a fit objection. So that think about it, it's just a branch to other objections. It's not real.
I get that, but the reason why I asked it was because of one of the role plays that I've been to, right? So he said, okay, yeah, because I'm going to Greece. When I come back, I'll, pay you whoever, blah, blah, blah. So he's basically saying, I'll reach out to you, right? But then they're like, oh, no. Like the guy was trying to kind of overcome it. But then the prospect was like, okay, but what difference does it make if I do it now or later? Like I said, I will do it. It's just not now. Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
well, you at that point you would have urgency.
Hmm.
So you could say, "Oh yeah, that's completely no worries." Just to show you my calendar, I was like, Mrs. Smith, I do only have like 2 slots left, or the discount is only applied for. So that would basically mean, you know, the three W's in sales. Have you ever heard that concept before?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, but I don't remember what it
Yeah,
is.
so it's
Don't.
basically like why you, why change, and why now?
Okay.
Why change? Like why should they do it, right?
Hmm.
Why you, meaning like why should they go with you? Basically like your
Yeah.
pitch, and why now? The
Hmm.
why now is the urgency part, which is why should they do it now? Why can they not do it in 6 months? And it's all just to do with scarcity. Oh, by the way, I only work with 5 people at a time. See, for this Croatian kid that I'm working with, he's genuinely just working with 3 people at a time. He has so much urgency into his. By the way, I can only work with 3 people at a time. I'm already working with two. I'm just looking for one more. I've got 10 more appointment calls. And I'm just concerned, Mrs. Smith, that I already know how to get you there, but someone else will take the spot. I'm just a little concerned.
Hmm.
you're on their side on it, right? You're not being the salesman. Like, I've got one more spot. Take it, or else you miss it. Like, I'm just concerned, Mrs. Smith. Like, and we know how to get you there. I already know what the gap there is that's stopping you from getting from point A to point B. I'm just concerned someone else might take the spot. So if they don't have urgency, then they have no reason to buy.
Fair
So
enough. Cool.
yeah,
Got that.
it's urgency. So that is the why now in the three W's.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.